This is the Dreadful Minutes, and this is a contest for 500 subs for Kim's channel. This is music. Rick here, and yep, as I mentioned, another contest video, and today we are going to celebrate 500 subs for Kim. Kim is based out of Denmark, and he's had his channel for, I want to say, a year, maybe a little over a year. I think last I checked, he did his first Heavy Hauls video was about a year ago or so, and so cool to see this milestone happening. He's already almost at the 600 club, so you know how it is with these contests. You'll do the milestone contest thing, and then next thing you know, you're well over. Because as people participate in these contest videos, there's been many entries for this, and you get new subs along the way, which is pretty cool too. And that's how people are up and find out about your channel. I discover many new channels that way as people enter contests. I'm like, oh, what is this about? And then you go tiptoeing, exploring, and next thing oh, I like this. Okay, I'm going to add this to the pile of things. And Kim is one of those channels that I was very glad I found. I'm not exactly sure how I stumbled upon his channel. All I know is this: I like this dude. This dude's cool, and he shows a lot of really good stuff. And also have discovered new things through him, and he has got quite a selection, a very good collection. And I do like the stuff that he shows because it kind of aligns with my taste too. And very witty guy, very witty guy. You Danish folk. So I maybe I shouldn't be, but I was taken by surprise just how much up he is on American culture, American pop culture and stuff. Which I guess is very prevalent over there. How much our stuff spills over there, in the other side of the world. So really cool. I've been warming up to a lot of you European folk, and it's just such a huge metal scene community and stuff over there, So I'm trying to keep my lens away on just it's just not just focus on the US stuff, there's a lot of really good stuff over there. So and seeing the entries just happened. So yeah, I've been waffling a little while. So the contest. So Kim laid out basically two options. So, the thing with these contests is, you lay out some parameters. So option one is because he's very much into the underground. He enjoys the underground. And where a lot of us here are about the underground and a very obscure releases and things like that, just as much as a lot of us are into the big popular bands, some of the mainstream bands. Again, you like what you like. So option one, talk about an underground release. And so a lot of us, this probably wasn't very hard because there are a lot of us do collect that stuff. But he also gave another option if your collection does not consist of a lot of this kind of thing. So, and that is go to the Demo Dungeon website, and where there will be a list of demos and things that you can choose and review and talk about, of whatever it is that tickles your fancy, and which is also very cool. And so I'll leave a link to that too, if you'd like to explore more about the Danish scene, which I know very little about as far as, so definitely I need to brush up on more on what's going on over there and the bands and the underground culture with that. So that's a very, very cool resource. So I never would have known about it if he hadn't mentioned it. So very, very cool. But I'm going to go with option one simply because I'm actually very excited about this project. I've known about it for a while. I've never talked about it on my channel. So hell, why not? So before we move on to that, I just want to say one thing, just a little quick story about my first interaction with someone from that country. And I was maybe about 14, maybe I just turned 15, and I just started picking up the electric guitar. So me and my buddies, we're all learning our first power chords and all this stuff. And, so for a little while there, we thought we were the shit. I'm like, shit. So we picked up the guitar black, the Black Album Metallica tablature book. I'm sort of learning like half the book. So I thought I was the shit, It's like, hell, I know that riff, man. I know that sad but true riff. Do you? So my friend has a foreign exchange student stay at his place. Happens to be from Denmark, and I never met somebody from there. It was interesting. And at the time, we were all growing our hair out. We're all trying to look as rock and metal as we can. We're like, we're all about this life, man. This is what I want to be. This is what we want to do. It's going to be great. It's like we're looking forward to graduating, maybe not graduating, hitting life on the road. So here's this Danish kid staying over at my buddy's house, and he's very plain looking. He's got he's got the short hair. He just wears, the typical jeans. It just kind of sporty t-shirts and stuff. And so we're all just dicking around on the guitar one day, just hanging out in the living room, whatever. He's like watching us, and he just kind of says, can I try that? So we're looking at each other like, all right, knock yourself out, man. Like, you want to, yeah. So we're all bracing ourselves for a train wreck of open tuning, out of tune, just noodling, whatever he's gonna do. So like, all right, so this is the time I get up and maybe go get some more cereal, Pop Tarts or whatever. Your average teen's diet. So I come back, and next thing you know, we're looking at each other like, dude, you got Marty Friedman over your house. Like, he goes all Marty Friedman on us, and this shit. It's just like, man. So I have these thoughts racing into my head, going, is this like a regular thing? It's guitar shred work part of the curriculum over there, just as much as algebra and everything else in Denmark. I don't know, Kim. You got to tell me. But man, all I know is I was blown away. I've never seen somebody in person, come over, and again, we're just learning guitar that year, and just pull off these scales, and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah. So I kind of wanted to throw away my Metallica guitar tablature book right then and there, just because I'm like, so I didn't. But man, that was quite a shock. So yeah, I don't run into you people that much over here in the States. Do you guys vacation over to the U.S. that often? I don't know. Like, I just don't, for some reason. But it'd be cool. Kim's a guy, I could definitely see myself, hanging out at a pub and definitely talking about fucking great music, and just having a beer with, and having a good time, and just because we all like a lot of the same stuff. So I'm going to be talking about Sallow Moth. Project started in 2016 maybe. So let's see what this is about. Got a couple of tapes here, and hopefully by the end I'll be convincing you guys to definitely go check it out. So
you've got the touch, you've got the power. Yeah!
So Sallow Moth is actually not a band. It's more like a project. It's the vision brought together by a fellow by the name of Garry Brentz. Garry Brentz. Yeah, he's based out of Texas, and he's got a whole roster of projects that he juggles around, and he does a lot of his. He's like a one-man deal. He does mixing, producing, just mastering, and kind of a whiz kid. He seems relatively young, so when I say whiz kid, I'm not saying he's a teenager or anything, but so I got wind of this project on Bandcamp. I believe it put out a single, kind of as a little teaser of what's to come back in like 2016, and then somewhere along the way, dropped an EP, and it was something called Death Spore. So I believe that fella Garry himself is I think a vegan, a very pro animal rights kind of dude, and so when I started to realize, little things like he would uh, contribute a portion of the sales of the album, or whatever his releases were, towards animal rights protection and things like that. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it was definitely for a good cause. So the story behind this, there's a whole lore behind this he put together. This is the thing where it's no longer active. He ended the Sallow Moth projects as of last year, I believe, and he moved on to other things. So I will definitely be leaving links for these, because I'm not going to sit here and go over the whole storyline behind all this, because it would take too long. So you can definitely go on these particular pages where the releases are, and it's definitely worth reading the whole narrative. It's basically, like I said, it's a space opera. Is if you like Transformers the movie, has a lot of this, because Transformers are these robots, right? So you got the Decepticons, Autobots, and then in the middle of all this, you got the humans, right? Who find out about Cybertron and everything else. So Sallow Moth kind of takes that idea, but instead of robots, you have these organisms, right? Which are like the moth beings. So again, the Sallow Moth idea. So I dropped it, and I believe in 2018, released Death Spore right here. So this was another limited run, but Caligari put this tape out right here. You might have seen it at the store, maybe we're a little curious about it. So I decided to engage and just kind of follow along, because this was sick. I loved this thing right here. Garry himself is a very versatile musician, and he decided to try his hand at death metal. I gotta tell you, the stuff that he does on these releases, you would think this is somebody who's been doing death metal for 20 years. And it's guy, and I don't think death metal is his primary thing. Typically, if you're going to try your hand at a genre, there's going to be some growing pains involved or whatever. Again, this sounds like something he's been doing a long time. Instead of just try out death metal, man, this stuff is amazing. So not only is the music really good, the storyline is awesome. There he is, right there. I know everything's it's kind of dark, but very cool. If you see this around on Caligari, definitely check it out. There are CDs. There's a limited run CD versions of these. Also, I just went with all tape on all this stuff, but very, very cool. So this is basically the beginning of the storyline, where we find out about the the Moths, the Deceptiva, which are the evil version of the Moth Lords. The Moth Lords are these beings who hop planet to planet or want the life to flourish, but they also have the ability to kind of manipulate and transform beings, especially if they see you as a threat. And the humans often are they butt heads with the humans. The humans are the technological side of things. They believe that the way to progress and move throughout the universe and is to basically the use of technology. And humans themselves, when you look at other beings and space creatures, things like that, humans are usually the weak ones, right? Like, so we have to rely on technology for things. I believe one of the main characters of the humans is called Servium, something like that. And so he's one of the characters that's mentioned often, and he's not portrayed very well. It's kind of power hungry, arrogant, egotistical, and all that stuff. And will not wince at all to sacrifice his own kind, for his own agenda. So then you have the Moth Lords, who believe in the natural order, right? And producing these spores, but if you get in their way, they can turn you into other things, and kind of use the biology on their side. So this is kind of giving you that premise, started with Death Spore right here. Very, very cool. So then in 2020, released his first full length. So again, we got a little taste here with a few tracks. So again, I'll be leaving links for all this. And we have the Larval Hope right here. So this is consists of 6 tracks. and it has this nice sort of card sleeve over it with this sort of blank tape. I was surprised it didn't have a J card. Usually they do these things, so you definitely don't lose this. And this was put out by, I don't even know the name of the Dead Red Queen Records. Not really familiar with them. I believe this is the only thing I have by that distro. Very cool green shell. And another limited release. If you see it around, definitely very cool. And you could definitely tell from the production moving on from this EP to this first full length, they really stepped it up, and it feels more confident. The story is a lot more dense, and with the first EP, things looked very dire, you know. And so Moth Deceptiva what they want to do is basically they feel kind of, I guess, resentful over the Moth Lords, because the Moth Deceptiva are just like the Moth Lords, but they don't believe in flourishing life. They actually destroy it. They hop planet to planet and basically just corrupt everything. So the Moth Lords, you know, the good guys, and the humans, you know, kind of reluctantly decided to pair up and deal with this threat of the Moth Deceptiva. And so they created this sort of hybrid technological moth being, and this is why it's called the Larval Hope. And this sort of moth creature that's kind of artificial, but yet, and they throw in elements of magic here too. It's one thing Transformers doesn't have, you know, it's magic. So this thing has, you know, because you're dealing with ancient beings, stuff like that, who also, and druids on different planets, and there's a lot. Again, this is a whole storyline. Definitely check it out. I'm just really cutting the surface of all this stuff. So anyway, Larval Hope. Here is the Sallow Moth project. That's so they had to kind of install little fail safes because their big concern was the thing would be a little too powerful. If you're familiar with Dragon Ball or anything like that, you know how like when you upgraded to Super Saiyan levels and stuff like that, and you trying to contain this power, and then that was what was going through their mind. You know, is do we create a monster that we can control? So the Sallow Moth did realize their vision and was a huge threat to the Moth Sativa. And so again, the Larval Hope came in. So by the third album, or second album, should I say, it would be the last full length. And Garry decided to end the project here as far as the main big storyline. And that is Stasis Cocoon, which dropped in 2021, right here. Really cool Adam Burke artwork. Also, this is also available. It was a very limited run CD. It's actually very hard to find, but it came in this cool UV printed shell. Look at that thing. And this one did have a J card, unlike Larval Hope. And so I got this through Tridroid Records over here, and you got this sort of illustrations going on. How awesome is that shit? And so every one of these kind of depicts a scene of what's going on with the lore here. Unfortunately, because it's tape, it's a very small type. It's very hard to read. So I would encourage you to just go to the Bandcamp page and just kind of click below, and just you can see the gigantic swath of text, and that's basically the breakdown of the storyline. Really cool. If you got a popcorn moment, you know, check out the lore here. I feel like this is the kind of thing where Garry should find a way to release this on some sort of I would say go with CD and release like a little comic book with it. You know, get somebody who I don't know who would do this for a reasonable rate and put together a nice storyline, a visual illustrated storyline for you, and put it together in a slipcase and, you know, on a CD. This would be really cool. So I hope he does that. So this story right here deals with the war and you know, and just kind of trying to contain the Sallow Moth too, because it kind of becomes his own threat, almost destroys, you know, half the universe just from the glowing orb that he produces, and takes everything out with it. You know, so got rid of the threat, but also took out some of the good guys along the process. And so, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So that happens, and then he released one more project, and that was just, I guess what you call a split, and it's kind of I want to say it's kind of a somber, just quiet um, after story of what went on sometime later after the Sallow Moth, and so this is a split with Vmthanaachth. Yeah, I'll just put the spelling right here. So another project out of Texas. So he teamed up with this fella, I believe. So here it is right here, and this deals with the ancient druids in some swamp where some of the spores were left together by the humans to clean things out. And it was these ancient druids took the slime and actually were able to use their magic, to ancient magic, to make it work for them and use it against the humans. So yeah, this dense, a lot of stuff going on. I'm doing a crappy job explaining it. This is a very limited release, and there's actually copies still available on Bandcamp. This they're asking like $5 for this, so it's like definitely worth the pickup. Really, really cool. So it's all death metal, except for the other side of this particular split. So it is all ambient. As far as the I don't even want to say his name, but the other guy in the split. So again, there's no actual like metal in there. It's all ambient, but the one side is, but the other side isn't. And so really cool. This guy right here has a very eerie way of doing ambience and kind of symphonic classical. It just some violin work and stuff. Check out his full length. I'll leave a link to that. Really cool. Again, very disturbing music. Also, if you like ambient music and just kind of just we're very out there kind of stuff, and nightmarish material. Definitely a project to look out for. He started doing other splits with other people too, but he definitely got one full length out on Bandcamp. So really awesome to check out. This Sallow Moth thing, man, it's very, very ambitious. And the fact that he pulled this off, you know, and stayed consistent with it. So as far as the music goes, it's very very progressive. So here's how I would describe it. It sounds very influenced by the Swedish guys. Like I feel like Edge of Sanity. It's got a lot of very progressive riffing. Again, I hear Swano all over this, and even elements of hypocrisy. And then you have moments of brutality. You know, you do have a little bit of the Florida sound. You know, the Moor sound kind of production on there. But very, very cleaned up. This guy definitely knows what he's doing. You know, so it does fit the feel of that you're listening to something that's epic, very epic, and part of a huge kind of storyline. Was what he was going with. So, Gary, if you're watching this, man, I'm telling you, dude, get a hold of me or something. You need a illustrated graphic novel to go with this, and this needs to be reissued. These tapes are very limited, and it's unfortunately that not many people will be able to get their hands on it on physical releases. But you can always just go to Bandcamp and get the digitals too for now, because it's very enjoyable. It's very good music, and I'm glad you did the last full length here and gave it the treatment that it deserved. So because this is quality, top notch stuff. So Sallow Moth, you know, right here, Death Spore. So that's it for this contest entry. So I hope this has been fun. It's always cool to pull off stuff like this that I normally don't show or haven't got around to it on these channels, and then these kind of things kind of give you a good reason to do that. So congratulations on getting to where, I guess by the time the contest will be over, you'll be at the 600 club. So very cool. Cue cheering sound. So I'll leave you all with that. I'll bid you adieu. Definitely check out the links. Check out the storyline, because it's very, very cool. So, as you all know, keep it dreadful.